Thank you so much for
Hi.
having me on your platform. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, so of course I know who you are, but could you please introduce yourself to everyone else? Who are you? Where are you from? And what do you do?
Yep. Okay, so my name is Gayatri, and I'm based in Australia. And well, I've got a day job, so I'm a lawyer. I work for a bank, but at the same time, I also run a side hustle called Baby Peppers. And so, Baby Peppers is basically a social enterprise that specializes in sustainable bedding textiles for children. And we partner with fair trade artisan workshops in India, which employs women, and these women are basically victims of domestic violence or sexual abuse, or they've got some kind of disability, but you know they are provided another shot at life. They've got economic independence and financial independence, and they show up to work every day, and they do all these amazing crafts. So I'm really honored and privileged to partner with them and get them to craft my textiles as well for my business.
And you're a mom, right?
Yes, I'm a mom of three kids. I've just had my third child 5 weeks ago, so it's all been a bit of a crazy journey for me.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
But you say it as if it's quite normal. You say, I have a day job, I'm a lawyer, I have three kids. Oh, and by the way, I run this side hustle. But there must be a story behind it. Is the story, does it come from your children? Does it come from your childhood? Where does the story come from?
Yeah. So, look, I've always loved the corporate grind. That's always been me for the last 20 years. Since I started working, I've just absolutely loved the corporate grind. But something in me shifted. So when I had my first child, during maternity leave, something in me shifted. Motherhood just brought a different perspective to my life. And um, and the thing is, I when I was on mat leave, I felt like there was a gap in the market. So I had a lot of trouble looking for sustainable textiles for my first child. So I was looking in generic stores like Kmart and Target, and the quality of the sheets, they were really cheap. They were poor quality. And after just a few, maybe about 3 or 4 washes, they became scratchy, and they were just not suitable for newborn skin. So it was actually my husband who sort of planted the idea in my head. So he sort of said, look, if you're struggling to look for, good quality textiles and good quality blankets for the kids, there might be other moms in the same boat. And he sort of suggested, why don't you do something? Why don't you fill the gap in the market by starting a business to actually fill this need? And I sort of thought, oh wow, that's interesting, because I always thought I would be starting something to do with fashion or makeup. That's always been my niche. I've loved fashion and makeup, so something to do with baby and all that was very unusual for me. But I got researching. I started doing a lot of research on Google and things like that. Started talking to different people, and I'm very lucky to have chanced upon some excellent fair trade workshops in India that predominantly employ women. They do employ men as well, but predominantly they employ women who have actually been, they've experienced some kind of trauma in their life. So these are women that are craving for another opportunity at life. So it's been amazing that we're able to do that for them, like give them that opportunity and platform to show up to work and, just sustainably craft the textiles and earn a living with dignity. I think that's really important for women from low socioeconomic regions and from the slum areas. So we predominantly work with women who don't have access to a lot of things. And so it's been amazing that I've been able to find them and connect with them, and also get this business up and running.
Because how important is that to you personally? Because when people see you, they might think, oh, she's from Australia, but she probably has some different roots. So how does
Yeah.
that resonate with your personal background?
Yeah. So I'm of Indian heritage. We grew up in Singapore. So my parents are from India, but my brother and we grew up in Singapore. And so my Indian heritage, I sort of wanted to connect back with my roots, I think. And I just felt like, the more I spoke to these ladies, the more I connected with the workshop, I was just really, realigning myself back to my roots. And I think what's really interesting is the methods that I use to craft my textiles. These methods are from 3,000 years ago. So we don't deal with mass volume or factories or anything like that. So we work with artisans with small batches. So it's all about slow fashion and sustainability. And the method that these women use to craft the textiles and to actually print the fabrics is block printing. So just a little bit about block printing. So block printing is where we take wood, and we actually carved the designs onto the blocks, onto the wooden blocks, and they dip them into the dyes, and they basically, stamp the fabric. So that's block printing, and this is a technique. This is the oldest form of fabric printing in the world. Before screen printing or computer printing came about, block printing was the way businesses were doing their jobs. And I'm so privileged to actually carry on this tradition after 3,000 years, and giving these platforms and workshops and opportunity to actually keep using these crafts so that they don't die out. These are crafts passed on from generations after generations. So it's very important for me that I preserve these. And it's sort of like preserving my ancestry in a way. I feel like I'm preserving my roots and my ancestry in a way, and really connecting back to my heritage and my history.
Yes, and I think you're because you're probably in your office or something, because I can see all of those boxes.
Uh,
Is that correct?
Yes, correct. Yes, I'm actually in my office slash storage room. So this is where I've got all my baby peppers stocks, sorted out, and I basically have them in an inventory. So I get them all categorized, and they're all in these boxes with labels and things like that. And it's obviously one of my favorite room in the house because it just gives me so much of peace. I'm able to reflect in quiet contemplation about my business, reassessing and realigning my strategies and things like that. So I love it. And the more I look at my products, I just feel, a sense of empowerment. And I feel like, look, I got to get going. I have to keep gaining the momentum and keep picking up and getting the traction in my business so that I can give these women more opportunities and keep investing in their well-being as well.
Yeah, so you are present on social media, of course. That's how we met. We've never met in real life. And I
Yes.
read on your social media that while you were growing up in Singapore, you actually felt like an outsider,
Yeah.
and you had a difficult personal time. How do you translate that to what you're doing today?
Um, I think what business has taught me is to just step out of your comfort zone and just put yourself out there. You have to be really visible. So in Singapore, it was complete opposite. So I grew up with a lot of racism and bullying. It was a very difficult time when I was growing up. I experienced racism and bullying from the age of 5. And so that sort of continued through every aspect of my life. So, it started in primary school, and then it went on to high school, and then it went on to my workplace. Um, Things only started becoming really good when I actually moved to Australia, and I found that people were a lot more tolerant of my skin color. They were actually looking at me and my potential. They were not looking at the color of my skin. And and that really just brought out a different side of me. I just felt like people believed in me. They saw my achievements, they saw my capabilities, and I could really express myself in a different form. I didn't have to be this meek girl or this scared or timid girl. I was just putting on a different persona in Singapore. I was just telling myself to hide, don't let people see your feelings, conceal your feelings and things like that. But it's very different in Australia. I just feel like I'm able to share and express everything with so much of authenticity. And that's given me the empowerment to really start my business, put myself out there, talk to people about my business, do public presentations about my business. I meet up with a lot of one-on-ones as well. So talk to people about my business, explain to them what I'm doing, what's the vision and mission behind my business. And so it's all about just completely putting yourself out there, getting really uncomfortable. It doesn't matter what you've been through in your life. It doesn't matter what your past is. Your past does not define you. And your future is not for you to really see. You can have a vision, but it's not there for you to really see in front of you. The present moment right now is what you really have to leverage off and help you propel you forward. And that's what I'm using. I'm using the present moment, and I'm using that to really leverage my skills and sorry, my dogs are barking. Sorry about that. Leverage my skills and really try to scale my business as well.
So you first basically empowered yourself.
Yeah.
You've transitioned in a way, and now you're empowering these communities, female, but also male. You said you also there are also male workers.
Yeah.
Back in India as well through what you do.
Yes.
When we look at sustainability, I feel like people are completely overwhelmed by trying to figure out what is sustainability, what are really sustainable products to buy. There is so much information, there's so much greenwashing out there. So what advice could you give them, having been through researching this topic yourself when starting this business?
Yeah. I think I've got a very different understanding and concept of sustainability with so much of research and, with my experience and everything. My idea of sustainability is completely different. I think sustainability is the sustenance of the self first. It's actually to sustain your human form in a way that is ready to create maximum impact and good in this world. So it's all about, I think sustainability is about, it's basically the sustenance of humanity